Hi. What's going on, everybody? It is episode 366 of Pop Culture Crisis. We are just doing it live today because we're having all sorts of troubles. My co-host is off owning a bunch of weird women while doing a podcast. And then my other co-host for the day, Phil, he's stuck in traffic. He's going to be here at any moment. And I got Chris Bertman with me today.
I'm here. I'm a writer for Timcast. We were going to have a literal rock star in today, but then they decided to settle on some writer guy.
Yeah, well, Phil will be here. Like, my hope is that he screams something coming up the stairs. I don't know if that's actually what's going to happen, but it would be cool if he did. But we're going to go with it today. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Phil will have to pick up when we get into it. I say that we look back at the rage quit from last night before we get started. But we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. I want to talk about Chris Pratt and how there's a recent article that was written by The Independent where they're basically like, oh, you know what? Maybe we do need more of this Chris Pratt guy here in Hollywood. And the way that they look at him is kind of proof that the Overton window has shifted so far one direction that conformity is now such the norm there that even the slightest disagreement in the way he views the world means that he is proof that Hollywood is more open-minded than they think, which is obviously not true. We will talk about that. We're going to talk about Dave Chappelle. He roasted San Francisco, and I know that's not exactly hard these days given the state that San Francisco is in, but we're going to talk about the comments he made on this special appearance. We'll get into that. We're also going to talk about the fact that Queen Cleopatra is now the worst show ever for Netflix. The Rotten Tomatoes scores are in, and it is absolutely terrible. We're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about a YouTuber who crashed a plane on purpose for views. This was over a year ago now, but he's admitted it and now could face up to 20 years in jail. We are in the ultimate age of anything for clout. Literally anything for clout. Do you want to get into, you know what, let's, for that, while we wait for Phil, since we're waiting for Phil to get here, do you want to at least look at the footage of the lady rage quitting last night?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask.
Oh, yes, we're going to do it. Before we do that, guys, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Also, remember, Mary is out of town right now. She filmed an episode of whatever last night, one of which we're going to watch a part of it just for laughs while we wait for Phil here in a minute. She's going to be doing another episode of Dating Talk there on Tuesdays, so go and check that out when you're done with this show if you have not done so already. So if you're ready, we will get right into it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. And remember, guys, all super chats, $20 and over, we will read right away and then get right back into our discussion. So we will read the first one that came through right away, and it was from Chris Noski. He says, the burdening will continue until morale improves.
Factually true. Like I told you guys, we're just getting started. People think that, like, oh, it's leveling off. No. We're coming back, baby.
You think that it's like, everyone thought they were done. Now it's going to escalate back upwards.
Never ended.
All right. So while we wait for Phil, here we go, guys. This is going to be funny. Let me make sure I had to do some last minute on the fly set changes. Oh man, my skin really is, I am burnt. Holy crap.
Oof.
Ugh. Yeah, I am sunburnt as hell. I didn't think it showed that much on the first one, but now I'm definitely, holy crap. All right, so Mary was on whatever last night. I hope we don't get, do you think we'll get copyrighted for this? I have no idea if we'll get copyrighted for this.
Oh, no.
If we do, I will have to clip this out of the show later. So let's check it out. This is when the redheaded girl rage quit and Mary had to explain why it's okay for people to have different opinions.
Raggedy Ann, right?
Yes. Here we go.
Like simulate a cheating scene when I cosplay. Like when I'm in a completely different wig. I'm like, hey, Nala's not here right now, but I'm her sister. Like, it's a cheating fantasy, you guys. Like, I feel like I will cheat sometimes for sure, or make someone cheat sometimes.
I kind of laugh at the host, like, who's just very dry.
Yeah.
He's good. He's hilarious.
Like this is just
I get a huge kick out of him. I wish I could be that dry.
Yeah, he's entertaining.
Oh, nothing. I was just on my phone. Don't worry about it. Go on.
The awkwardness is just palpable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude.
What's that?
That was it.
Huh?
Thank you.
The vibe is so bad.
It's really not. You're the one who made it all.
It's been bad the whole time, and I'm sorry.
It was bad when people started disagreeing with you.
Coming on.
Sorry.
Oh my God.
Well, you
See
can
ya.
go really.
You can leave.
Mary.
Get up. Leave.
You're shaking too now. Hey, we're both shaking.
Why does he take the picture? I don't know why he
You
takes
can
the
leave.
picture.
Wow.
You can leave.
Wait, what?
I thought you said you were shaking.
No,
I was
I'm
checking
okay.
on you.
No, baby.
I gotta give her my number.
Rage
It's his
quit.
job.
Oh, he kicks her out.
Yeah, he kicks her out.
I thought she chose to leave.
Yeah, no, well, he does, but then he says, get the hell out.
Out of my studio. Hey,
Yo.
get out.
I can't give her my number.
No, you have to leave.
Why now you got my
Damn.
Yo, this guy's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie.
This is a bad look.
Freaking Mary.
She's with us in spirit today.
Yeah.
Only in America.
What are your thoughts from the sidelines? What's going on?
I'm ready to go home.
Yeah.
Dude, he said that. They were like an hour and a half into a 4-hour podcast. So that guy had a ways to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like how Mary's just like, I'm the host now.
Yeah.
We got some time to go. But like this, the vibes are bad because people are disagreeing with you. This is like the clip that went viral from my appearance last time. Is like I disagreed with a girl and then she said, "Oh, that's bad vibes." When I'm just trying to have a back and forth because we're on a show.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the podcast.
I've done it plenty of times.
Yeah.
And people just think that they can go on a dating podcast and then not talk about their dating life and not talk about personal things. You knew that you were going to get asked personal questions, and this is what it's
That's
about.
why I have the mask.
Exactly.
You
like
go.
you took your precautions. And
Fair.
yeah,
Fair.
boundaries are important.
See, all the practice she's got hosting has helped her in this moment while she takes over the discussion for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just happy to be here.
Spectating this
Happy to
conversation.
witness.
I imagine that
$20.
Oh, let's go. Who did it's from? Boosted Yogi says Mary has some BDE.
What's that stand for, Pratt?
I cannot say that live on air. I'm not allowed to say that. I think we have a family friendly podcast, except for the times when we don't. I always say that, and then like I cuss, and then I'm like, well, it was family friendly up until this moment, and in that moment, then we're not anymore. Also, guys, while we're continuing, I do want to thank everyone. We hit 60,000 subscribers over the weekend, so thank you so much for that. Awesome. We are growing. We are having a lot of fun doing these shows every day, and just the fact that I get to do it in like I look at this room and it's kind of like a hilarious like clown show of people. Yeah. But I bet you it's a ton of fun. Like
it's a ton of fun. It's gonna be a lot of work too.
It's a lot of work, but I bet you if you're open-minded about the experience, like if you're this dude and you're just like dunking on I feel bad for a lot of the girls, but they get what they want out of this, right? They get the exposure that they want for doing
it's like the girl who's
this.
wearing the mask. Like she knows what she was getting into, therefore she took precaution. All the other girls are like, this is me. This is my identity.
Yep.
So
it's but Mary is right about one thing. Like a lot of people in our culture have been groomed into believing that disagreement ruins the vibe, that you can't have fundamental disagreements with people, because I think that a lot of the new generation have been raised to believe that like any disagreement is a sign that you don't respect that person, and you're just kind of expected in culture now to just say yeah whatever and not actually push back on anything.
Yeah,
and that's not really how the world works, and
right.
it kind of takes some time for people to get used to. There is such a thing as being maybe a bit too argumentative, which can happen on a lot of podcasts like these, because the point of it is to have a back and forth in discussion. I think one of the things you have to be able to do is gauge like what the tone of the show is supposed to be and what the energy of the show is supposed to be, because it's not always the same for every show. A very serious discussion where you're hammering out political or philosophical ideals is a lot different than something like, say, what we do, which is a lot about just having fun. Like the idea here is like we do go for discussions that can actually be, insightful at times. And Mary certainly has a lot to add in that regard, but I want people to be able to have fun. And so it's not always the same for every show. And Mary understands that. This lady who's on the podcast with him clearly did not understand that just because somebody disagrees with you does not mean that the vibes are ruined. You have to be a bit more secure in who you are for that, right?
Yeah. That whole thing frustrates me. Like you can't disagree with anybody. It's like you have to agree with them in spirit at minimum. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're not allowed to say like, yeah, that's a morally wrong thing you're doing. You have to say like, well, it's your truth. So
that's another. We're going to talk more about that when we get into the stuff about Queen Cleopatra. I feel like where we are now in the culture, the culture that's created the Queen Cleopatra television show is a direct result of the saying my truth. In a lot of ways. So let's watch a little bit more of this while we're still waiting.
And though, I think she really is like who she's saying to be. She never said she was like right for doing it. Like she knows that she's wrong for doing
back.
it. But
Bro, why? Can I get like just a break, like one show?
No.
Can I just?
Oh, that's not actually a thing that happens. You don't get to get a break ever when you're doing something like this. For instance, today we're waiting for our host to get here because traffic and because of all the things that can go wrong will go wrong. And thank you for that, right? One thing that's funny is I was talking about with Mary because she did a podcast appearance recently, and they just had audio go bad, right? And that happens. Like it's just part of the tech issue. Oh, there's a $20 one right there. We're also working with one money gun today, so we're working at a loss today. So it says, Deuce Boogaloo says everyone wants to leave because whatever sucks. Of course, Mary takes over the podcast and goes viral. The host is bland, uncharismatic, and awkwardly soft-spoken. He's like me. There you go. He's like me. He should be permanently replaced with Mary or Sovereign Bra. Yeah.
Why don't we just turn this into the whatever podcast?
Because I'm even more bland and even more uncharismatic than this guy.
You
so
just
that's
line
okay.
people up, and then the whole show is you roasting them the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that's cool.
Yeah,
I'd watch it.
I mean, I can't do that, but it would be somebody more charismatic than I could do that. And
Tim, can I do it?
To be fair, the guy left the table, and Mary had to take over.
Sure,
her instincts kicked in right there, right?
Yeah.
Like a chill fucking show. Like it wasn't really that fucking heavy, but she was.
I said like you're gonna become more red pill just by doing this show and like tolerating with the craziness. That's gonna like jade you.
Bro, I'm so.
I
I'm
understand,
so like.
This is like a heated environment, especially if people are
Jeez.
normally on shows.
All right,
so.
we're gonna take her out of the description.
Oh,
man.
That's just mean, right?
Yeah.
That's just mean.
Zero cred.
That's not very nice at all. In the chat, let's go through with the chat today. It says Brett has to carry the energy. Brett has the energy to carry PCC. I don't know about that. Today we're gonna have some fun with it today. You know what? Let's go ahead. Let's leave Mary alone on the podcast there, guys. She will be back on Wednesday or Thursday, I believe. Remember? So let's go ahead and let's just get into the first thing I want to look at today. Let's talk about the Aladdin remake. In this case, the star of it, Mina Massoud, I believe that's how you pronounce it, he slighted The Little Mermaid in just the tiniest itty-bitty fashion, meaning he said that like the money that the Aladdin remake made because people went and then went again, and that's why it was able to get to $1 billion. And he doesn't believe that The Little Mermaid will get to $1 billion because he doesn't believe that people will go back to see it again. I think people won't go back to see it again because it's so dark they won't be able to tell what the hell's going on because the color palette is so freaking drab on the movie, but we're gonna do that. So it says Mina Massoud, the star of Disney's 2019 live-action Aladdin remake, has deleted his Twitter account after taking heat. My friend, you're good over here.
What up?
On this side? We've got him, ladies and gentlemen. He is here. He's sitting in. There it is.
How you doing?
The whole point of the PTZ camera comes into pure focus right now, my friend.
What a mess.
Dude, that same thing. We're going to get back into it.
What a mess.
Actually, I'm going to read right here. I'm going to read this $20 one from Disco Jensen. Says, do you think Tim would hire me doing a dating show where I basically roast their poor life decisions?
Well, it depends. Are you roasting the men or are you roasting the women?
Yeah, there's
Why not both?
Because we're guys.
Yeah.
Boys.
True.
It is a boys episode right now.
You know?
Too. I want to
Right?
point out, the first thing I thought of when I saw this article was, holy crap, 2019 feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
Does it
Multiple
not?
lifetimes.
Yeah.
Does it not
Yeah.
feel like a lifetime ago? Hold on, I have to make some changes here to fix Article 3. Did it go? Let's go to 2 here. Now I'll go to 3. I have to fix something here, ladies and gentlemen.
Where are we? Talking about Aladdin
We're talking about Aladdin remake right
Weird.
now. There it is right now. Well, the guy who was in Aladdin has basically deleted his Twitter. Oh, and a $20 one from Disco Jensen says, boys.
Boys.
Yes.
Boys.
He deleted his Twitter because he had like the smallest amount of criticism for the Aladdin remake.
What? Like, well,
Or for the Little Mermaid remake, basically saying that he thinks that the Little Mermaid won't make as much as Aladdin because Aladdin made as much as it did because people went back.
he spoke the words that shall not be spoken.
Yeah, basically, right? By the way, what happened for like where you got cut off, like or driving?
Yeah.
Same thing happened to me on Saturday, where it was like I was going, crisis.
There we go.
Crisis party! I don't even know. I gotta jump into the chat here and everything.
Hold on.
How are we doing?
Party! All I gotta do is party!
I got a message last week from Carter who says to me, I have some Ian stuff for you for a crisis party. You just got to figure out a way to make it work. And it totally works, ladies and gentlemen. That is a very special Ian-centric crisis party right there. It'll be around for a week. We got a $20 one from Clint Torres. He says, Brett, do you think Tim would, do you think Tim would hire me for my looks and my sexy Texan accent? Do we do that here? Do we hire based on accents?
I don't think so. I can't think of anyone here that has a strong. There's like one person here with an accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I used to get made fun of for saying I had a Minnesotan accent, and I said that's not true.
Well, I mean,
and then somebody heard my dad talk, and they're like, okay, he's got a Minnesotan accent, not.
So I didn't realize. Apparently, Californians have an accent.
Yes.
We don't pronounce our T's in the middle of words. It's really weird. Like Santa Clarita, I say Santa Clarita, and people say Santa Clarita.
Santa Clarita.
It's weird.
I speak like that. I'm very like I feel like it's a lazy way to pronounce things, and I do the same thing. Like I would say Santa Clarita with my name.
Yeah.
People ask me, "Is it Labonte?" And I'm like, "It's as American as it gets, Labani." And that's just the way that it's always come out. So I don't, and I'm from Massachusetts. Not like I'm from California. Wow. So
you were in charge of that money gun.
I'm not sure,
today, my friend. $20 one from Chris Noski says, "Welcome to the show, Cool Bert. Phil, sorry, not sorry."
Cool Bert Phil.
Does that mean Phil's Cool Bert?
I thought he was Filbert.
I mean, I'm quite confident that I am cool. I mean, considering my other job.
Yes, well,
it's pretty cool, man.
It's kind of a given.
Cool is
kind of awesome.
Built into that one.
It's kind of tough to be like, oh, the nerd that's in a heavy metal band.
Are there nerd rock stars? Isn't Alice Cooper kind of like a soft-spoken dude?
He is, but when I think of nerd rock stars, I just think of emo bands. Mm-hmm. I mean, essentially, like that's the way they do it on purpose too. You know, they
lean right in the teenage years, man.
You know, right?
Yeah, right in the teenage years.
That's where I was aiming for. Put it in your live journal. You'll feel much better.
I think I wanna rewatch Wayne's World for when he says, Miliwake.
Miliwake.
That's Algonquin.
See, that was like it was fine when it was back then. Yeah. Now if someone said it, there would be massive rolling of eyes, and he'd be like, "Oh God, do we have to say we're sorry again?"
Nobody wants to say they're sorry.
No, you gotta do it constantly at this point, or else
So Mina Masood says our film was unique in that audiences went to watch it multiple times. It's the only way we reached the $1 billion mark with our opening. My guess is that Little Mermaid doesn't cross the $1 billion mark, but will undoubtedly get a sequel. So he's actually also throwing shade because he's saying, oh, they're not going to make as much money as us, and they're going to give it a sequel because representation, I guess. And the funny thing is, I was thinking about it. That movie came under fire too because they thought that that there was colorism involved in the casting of Jasmine during that, but it got kind of overshadowed because of everybody had kind of this weird fascination, morbid curiosity about Will Smith taking over as the genie.
Yeah.
When the original was such an iconic Robin Williams performance.
I know that Will Smith has a persona now that involves a whole lot of cuckoldry. But
that was already happening in 2019.
I feel like it wasn't
not
quite as obvious. Like you had to watch the Red Room and those shows to know.
That got canceled recently.
The meme, dude, of him
it's
crying.
rough. It's rough.
You know what? Speaking of memes, I've got a meme to show you
but
guys.
My point being that I think that I still like Will Smith kind of. I'm rooting for him. I'm hoping that he kind of figures it out. Because the Fresh Prince is always going to be someone that I love, and I really, really, really have a soft spot for a ton of Will Smith's work and stuff. So get away from Jada and come on back, man. Come on back.
The original,
I love you, Will. Come on back.
The original Independence Day is classic.
Yes.
I've had to explain to Mary multiple times.
Welcome to Earth.
Exactly.
Oh God, so tough.
I've had tough. Explain to Mary on multiple occasions. I'm like, you weren't there for when Will Smith was in, right? Mm-hmm. And not just that. I mean, he did all sorts of movies. I love Enemy of the State.
Enemy of the State was brilliant. Yes. Oh God, how predictive of modern modern life. If you haven't seen Enemy of the State, watch it. Gene Hackman is phenomenal in it.
On Hulu.
Oh God,
on
so
Hulu,
good.
guys.
So good.
You should go watch that.
And Will Smith, you just love him. You're just like, yeah, go, run, get away from them G-men. They're after you. Them feds are gonna get you, Will. But you're also, the entire time, go. It's great.
If you think about it, iRobot was also fairly, all Marley and Me.
Listen, I liked.
I meant Hitch, not Marley and Me. Hitch.
I like the Hitchcock, or what is not Hitchcock? The guy when he was a superhero and he cucks Jason
Hancock. Hancock. Yes.
Yeah, I liked it until he almost cucked Jason Bateman. I'm like, man, it didn't have to be weird. Didn't have to be weird like that, but.
All right. And speaking of memes, guys, Bad Bunny and Kendall Jenner have become an instant mansplaining meme. If you look at this here, he's literally doing the meme that you see of the guy with in the nightclub. And then also the guy at the baseball game, except for he's at a basketball game. They show it down here. They compare it to both of them. It's literally both of those memes where the guy's explaining something to the girl and she just looks miffed.
You know, I mean, I wanna hope that like she just looked up and saw something and then looked and it was like that doesn't represent the whole exchange.
Yeah.
But a picture does speak 1,000 words, and all of those say, leave me the hell alone.
There's this amazing one recently of a pro wrestler named Liv Morgan.
Yeah,
where she's at like a basketball game, and somebody's like explaining something really intently to her, and she just looks like just miserable. Just like, and she had like and it got so much traction that she had to be like, no, I was just concentrating on the game.
Ronnie Radke?
Maybe she's a pro. She's a pro. She works for WWE.
I don't get super like I'm not really all that interested in the drama.
She was
in
the Chucky TV series. She made a cameo in the Chucky TV series because she's a big horror buff.
Ronnie's hilarious on Twitter. So if you don't follow Ronnie Radke from Falling in Reverse, follow him. He's hilarious.
If she is, then what's with the wrestling chicks dating musicians? I know that Alexa Bliss is married to Ryan Cabrera, who is like a pop rocker from the 90s or from the early 2000s.
I mean, it's kind of cool to date rock stars.
There you go. And it's really funny too because wrestlers are like they have the hard like their job maybe not as much these days because they're not on the road as much.
Rough.
But they would do 300 days a year, sometimes 315, 320, and they would work every single night.
What is the really impressive part is when you figure that out in 8 balls of cocaine.
Yes. Oh yeah. Like you can actually measure their like.
Come on, look at the Ultimate Warrior. Like that dude wasn't on all the cocaine.
Him and Macho Man. Like just go back and watch old Macho Man. You will get contact. You will get a contact coke high. If that's even possible.
I don't do cocaine. I just love the way it smells.
Yeah. Like if he was there, he would actually get you a contact because the coke would be blowing out of his nose as he's screaming.
Nose candy flying at you.
Also, guys, there is a $20 super chat from Trucker and Tourist says, boys. Yes. Like that was the great thing about the 80s, right? Like all those interviews. Like there's also this amazing, like that's been turned into a meme is Randy Savage when he was in the Spider-Man movie. He's like, I got you for 3 minutes.
Oh my
God.
And that's been turned into a bunch of like self-deprecating sexual memes.
Dude, I don't know what I did to my algorithm. Every video I get posted like cup of coffee in the morning.
You're watching content that I'm liking apparently because that's how that's showing up there. All right, I got a couple more notifications for you guys. Justified Primeval, City Primeval had its first trailer. It's a teaser. They lied. It's a teaser. It's not a trailer. It's like 45 seconds long. But if you haven't seen Justified, I highly recommend each and every one of you go onto Hulu and check out Justified. I really do believe that you will love it. It was a time where, think about this. I was rewatching it recently, and I'm looking at all these episodes, and there's Confederate flags in the background, and they just wouldn't do that now. Because like there's scenes where there's like SS stuff behind them, but it's to show that these are bad guys.
Yeah.
Like these are not good guys. Like they weirdly handled the racism angle of that show as like it's kind of paid attention as like, look at these idiots. Like what we should be doing now, where they're like, look at these morons, stop giving them attention, right? Like they kind of pass it off in the pilot episode of the show where they talk about, he goes, he fell in with the white supremacist bullish. And that's how you should treat it now, but now it's treated like it's this great existential threat. And in this show, so when there's Confederate flags in a lot of the buildings, they're not necessarily the bad guys because it's just part of the history in that area. Now, whenever there are flags that are either swastikas or SS stuff, they're the bad guys. And that's a fair distinction to make back then.
It's a pretty loud proclamation. Like that's. you can't miss the Swazi.
But the point was,
that
at the
thing
time,
that doesn't leave anything to the imagination. It's like, I know what you're getting at. These are the bad guys. You can't get by me.
But even in the show, the character of Boyd Crowder falls in with this crowd, and they realize that it's not because it's actually even more kind of poignant to today's culture, because they point out like he wasn't a white supremacist. He was just a bad guy who wanted to do bad things, and the group gave him the opportunity to do that. So it's like he didn't even fall in line with them ideologically. He was just a bad person who wanted to blow stuff up.
So it's just extra bad.
Yeah.
So it's like there's like, we'll put him like in the bad guy section, but not actually make him bad enough to be like, he's not even as bad as the baddest guy. So he's just like, milquetoast bad guy.
Yeah, well, it's like it affords him the opportunity, the ability to do the things that he wants to do. He just doesn't subscribe to their ideological beliefs.
Yeah.
He's just a bad person.
Yeah.
He's a bad person for completely different reasons.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. We're going to move on. This is a fun one. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about this one. There's this interesting article about Chris Pratt, and I'm going to put it up on screen here so that everyone can see it while we go through it. It says, maybe Hollywood should embrace people like Chris Pratt, and they say once he fixes his toe, because there's this gross picture of him recently. But I want to talk about this because they basically point out that Chris Pratt is like a centrist, liberal type dude. But they are centrist, like right-leaning dude, and they point out three things. They point out his support of the military, the fact that he likes hunting, and the fact that he's a Christian. Those are their points for this, right? And say like, maybe we should tolerate people like this.
I am starting to smell something.
Okay.
Right. I feel like people have noticed the backlash to Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light, because not only do I see this, but there are people that are ostensibly liberal, and I mean like that. I don't mean that as a slur or a negative term. Actually, like, believe in things that liberal societies believe in. Yeah, and they're starting to like having Trump on the town hall. Yeah. Now, granted, CNN really had to beg for forgiveness and really did their best to pad it because of what they've turned into and what their viewership has become over the past 5 or so years or whatever. But
we got a $20 one right quick from T-Bone. He says, welcome, sir. You know who you are. I hope you're having a wonderful day, sir. Phil and Brett, I'm hoping the hat choice today. I'm loving the hat choice today. Sir, your hat is the best, like always.
Shout out to T-Bone. I know who he's talking about.
So you're sir.
I am sir.
You're sir.
I'm sir.
Okay.
He shows the utmost amount of respect. I love that dude.
Well, as a cult leader, you have to demand the utmost amount of respect. Okay.
It's important.
So you were saying.
I just feel like there are people that are starting to notice that the left has gotten illiberal, and there are people that want to be good people and had gone along with the more extreme stuff on the left because they kind of thought that was what good people were doing, but they're starting to realize, wait a minute, this is more than just what a good liberal should do, and I think that there are multiple things that give reason and will give people pause, and I can't put my finger on any one thing in particular, and I could be wrong. It could be a little bit early, but I tend to pick up on this kind of stuff early. I mean, I smelt the illiberalization of the United States back in 2005.
I think it speaks of just how far the Overton window shift the other way, and maybe it's working its way towards a correction. But I'm going to read you some of this paragraph. So it says, The Independent, Chris Pratt is a polarizing figure amongst audiences. I would actually like to push back on that. He's polarizing on Twitter and literally nowhere else.
He's polarizing to progressives
on
to
Twitter.
The left,
and just on Twitter.
Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure. Well, that's
the only reason it's escaped Twitter into the real world is because a lot of journalists live on Twitter. Yeah. Therefore, they treat Twitter as if it's the real world when Twitter is not the real world.
But he's not polarizing. Like
he's the least polarizing person ever.
Being a Christian is like pretty normal in the United States. Like.
So this is what they say. For some, the issue is simply his acting. The people who are saying that are just dislike him for other reasons.
Yeah, they're liars.
Yes, they're lying. It says, for others, his political leanings. You don't know his political leanings. He literally says, I'm not right or left. I'm something else. I don't like to be labeled. So it says, Pratt, an ardent Christian and military advocate, is often described as right-wing, although he stated he does not fall on either side of the political spectrum. You may balk at the sight of Chris Pratt wearing a Don't Tread on Me shirt. You may recoil at his somewhat unnerving ode to the beauty of hunting.
God forbid you eat food.
Yeah, it says in 2015, the actor spoke of his 30 to 40 gun arsenal. You should be more concerned about all the celebrities who want to take your guns while not telling you about the size of their arsenal, which they clearly probably have, but don't want to tell you about because it's against what their philosophy is, what they're allowed to espouse in the real world.
Civilian grenades.
For everyone. But there's something fundamentally important about having people like Pratt in the industry. See, what I think it is, I think it's actually worse than this. I'm actually taking the opposite of your perspective. In a lot of ways, I think they like him because it allows them to pretend like there's a diversity of opinion. But the second he started actually speaking up about it, he would be shut down. And he would start losing roles. He's allowed this because people have kind of imprinted what they think he believes onto him. And yes, he wore a Don't Tread on Me shirt. You can glean whatever you want from that. Maybe he supports that. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just wore it because he thought it looked cool. I don't know. I would lean towards the fact that he knows what it means. But the fact of the matter is that he will be expected from now and until the time he retires to keep that quiet and make those shout outs in small ways. He won't be allowed to be as politically outspoken as many of the people who run contrary to him in the industry. And the only thing that... Crisis Party! Woo!
All right.
They basically say, be whatever you want, just shut up about it. I worry about that. Party! I don't know what the skit was that he was talking about where this came up. I don't know what he was talking about.
Was that an episode of IRL or something?
It made that, or maybe it was from something for Cass Castle.
Maybe.
I don't know. And I really do believe that to the left, you're allowed to support whoever you want to. Unless it's Tulsi Gabbard. Obviously, she's not a Democrat anymore. But on the right, you're allowed to... go for it.
You say people are noticing the backlash to Bud Light, but Miller just dropped a woke feminist commercial because we all know women primarily drink beer and not White Claw's LMFAO. The thing is...
It was probably done a long time ago.
That it was, yes, I think that it was actually done a long time ago.
That's like Can't Turn the Titanic.
Exactly. I think the video, it might even be a resurfacing of a video that was released a long time ago. So I'm not sure that it was like some current thing.
You know what that means, right?
What?
You know what we need to do? We need to get White Claw to just make a super redneck ad. Just like a super right-wing ad. I'm kidding. That's a joke.
No, they totally should.
They should make a super, it should just be White Claw and it's the claws of a bald eagle flying over America.
I was thinking like trucks in the woods.
Yes.
How is White Claw not a perfect statement? White Claw.
Yeah, that's what red, white claw. Red, white, claw, and blue.
Yeah,
and then they can
White Claw,
and they can tap into their market. Everyone's always searching for that phantom market. That is that like a is that? Do you think that's like we're getting off topic
Memorial
here?
Day.
Do you think that's a product of the fact that capitalism is one of those things where it's like you have to continuously grow? There is no stagnating in a capitalist business.
Well, I mean,
so they're constantly looking for new markets to fill.
There is an argument to that, and that's part of that's part of the engine of capitalism, of a capitalist economy, is to have people that are pushing the envelope, looking for new markets, because that's how it continues to grow for people. And the idea that you can not create a demand, that's just a load of crap. And that's one of the things that people on the left like to say, that you can't manufacture demand. Well, then what the heck was the iPhone?
Yeah.
That literally took the computer and put it into everyone's pocket, and the demand for a computer that big exceeded demand for almost everything else for half a decade.
Yeah.
It might even still be now that it exceeds the demand. So the idea that you can't create demand, that's and then once you get the iPhone, then there's all the stuff that goes along with it and blah blah blah. So it's not like that's the way that a capitalist economy works, because people come up with ideas. They're like, man, wouldn't it be cool if I had one of these things that did this?
Yeah.
And they try it, and other people are like, man, that thing worked good. I like it. That's it.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, Apple also had the infrastructure to build something of that size by that point, because they started in other because they started in a joined industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I mean,
full-size computers.
Apple didn't actually make the pocket computer iPhone. I mean, they just made it work the way that people wanted it to.
Well, they took the iPod. Like, they basically made CDs, anything else obsolete. They made the iPod, and then they made their own product obsolete.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and the thing is with the iPod, the thing that really sold it was the interface. Once they really kind of perfected the screen, or at least got it to the point where it didn't feel clunky and weird, because there were other touch screens that were around before, and they were wonky and weird, and you had to have some of them had the stylus and blah blah blah. But once Apple had that, it worked great.
2004 to like 2009 is like one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite eras for movies and television because of all of the in between era tech.
Yeah.
That like a sidekick. Like you'll see Palm Pilots. Remember Palm Pilots?
God.
They got the stylus, and it's like I love that era of technology. One of my favorite in what was it? Casino Royale was a point in that where like Bond is using this tiny Nokia phone that supposedly has like a screen that he can like look at like a map move, and I'm like, no, not on that screen. He couldn't. Sorry, that wasn't happening. Do you think for Chris Pratt that part of this is their ability to be like, look, the article says a healthy ecosystem requires was it the word syncretic? Is that a word?
What is it?
Syncretic?
Syncretic?
Not but it's not an A. It says if Clint Eastwood had been hounded on the industry for his republicanism, we would have been poorer for it. They also shout out Bone Tomahawk, which will make Dallas Soninier very happy in here. They talk about the Simpsons having established writers from all different political beliefs. I don't know if they see Chris Pratt that way. I think that on one hand, it could be yes. They could see this as the tide is shifting back to a more centrist approach. I think he's just the type of person they view as safe, because they will take anyone who believes anything they want as long as they don't speak about it too openly. Otherwise, Gina Carano would have been fine.
Well, no, because I think Gina Carano wasn't fine because of when it was.
In 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was the time. Like if you look, like the culture war was white hot in 2015, 2016. And then once Trump got in, it was still pretty intense, but it kind of cooled off because people just don't have the energy to have that kind of intensity constantly. Yeah. But then with 2020, with George Floyd and the Summer of Love, you had a reignition of that kind of fire in the culture war. And so Gina Carano paid for it because of the culture war, not because what she did was particularly objectionable, because she made a comparison that other people have made multiple times. Plenty of people on the left have made it. It was just, okay, Gina Carano has the bad opinion, and it is the summer of the Republicans must die, and anyone that steps out of line hates black people and blah, blah, blah. Like, it was really, really, really intense. So I think that it's a different time now. I think that people kind of are looking back and noticing their own behavior. Like, if you look at I don't
know if I have enough faith that people are actually that introspective.
No, I'm not saying everyone, but there are going to be some. But if you look at there's this montage that I've been sharing on Twitter of just the people that were in the news talking about people that were not vaccinated and stuff, and they just say the most atrocious things. And looking back now, knowing that it was all overblown, that it's possible that people were dying in the ICUs because of the ventilators that they were being put on, not because of the COVID virus. Look, it's really, really bad. It's a bad look now, and people are gonna try to move away from the whole woke thing because there are people like Bill Maher talking about woke on his show, and that bit that he did about communism, like millions and millions and millions of views and shares. People are going to notice, and this is the goal. This is what people like me have been trying to get other people to acknowledge. So I like to think that there are good liberals that are realizing they have been behaving illiberally because they've been sold a bill of goods. That's a load of crap. I don't know that it's everybody, and I don't know that it's going to all the times that we see this, it's going to be that. But I'm hoping that there are at least some, because that's the only way we get out of this woke stuff without turning into like China.
On my less pessimistic days, I would hope that that's true. On my more pessimistic days, I tend to say, like, in a culture now where you have access to all this information, yes, you may have been lied to egregiously by these companies. But on one hand, and maybe this is projection on my part, I don't know if there are many people who are going to be willing to admit that they've been that taken in and that that they were duped that easily.
You have to give them a way out without punishment.
Mm-hmm.
So people that got wrapped up in it, you can't sit there and it's going to happen on Twitter. But if it's someone you know, if it's friends, if they start saying anything, and this goes for everybody watching it, whenever. If you have a friend that was wrapped up in the whole woke thing and they kind of are starting to pull back, don't beat them up.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is beat them up. Give them a way out without embarrassing them, without punishing them. Just be like, yo, we all get wrapped up in stuff, homie. Come here. You're my homie for a reason. And be the homie. Yeah. Be the homie and give them a way out. That's the only way that people are going to feel like, okay, I can actually leave this garbage behind and act like a normal person again without having to, whatever. And then, like, in a year or two, you can all laugh about it. Yeah. Okay, it was kind of pretty white hot and blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't mean they have to like Trump or, whatever they get hung up on. Just give them a way out where they are still your friend. So.
Amen. All right. I'm going to read this last paragraph here because I thought it was very interesting. He says, the film industry as we know it is hardly the most politically diverse sphere in public life. The liberal lovey stereotype is alive and well. Look down the roster of Pratt's Marvel leading men peer group and you will find a uniform set of left-leaning Democrats from Chris Evans to Mark Ruffalo to Paul Rudd. Indeed, in Hollywood, openly right-wing or even as in Pratt's case, just non-lefty celebrities are something of a rarity. Most of these celebs who are renowned for their right-wing beliefs are outwardly bigoted or otherwise politically radicalized through some kind of cancel-related transgression. This is what I mean by this. What I'm saying is, like, they like him because he doesn't say anything. He doesn't stick up for himself most of the time. He lets them talk crap about him. They want a punching bag.
I'm sure.
I think a lot of them want a punching bag more than anything. That's what I think they want. So that's just my less positive take on the matter. But all right, guys, let's get into it. We got some super chats here. Let's start up at the top. What do we got here? We had to start without Phil today because Phil was that same traffic thing that happened over the weekend too. Yeah. Was it an accident or was it?
I think so. That's the second time that I've been late here, or almost late. It was once, and this time I was actually late because of 340 just gets.
I was going to go skate. I was going to go skate over the weekend. And the place I was going to go, I was like, it's like 12 minutes away. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it said like 40 minutes. I'm like, I don't remember it being that far. Like,
yeah. If one of the highways gets messed up, because they're not like interstates, they're just state highways going through West Virginia and here to.
All right, so High Voltage 75 says 60K, let's go, and he's right. I'm gonna have to one day trademark how many O's are on my Let's Go, so I know you'll know it's me by how many O's are attached to the Let's Go. That way you know. All right. Thank you, High Voltage 75. Noah Sanders, Doc Q says, Chris, when is the special culty Burt themed cast brew coffee going to be coming out? You've got to be the personality bigger than the brand. You got to be the personality bigger than the brand that Tim keeps talking about. Plus the fake redhead is cringe. He's talking about the person from the podcast that we were while we were waiting for you, we watched some of Mary's appearance on Whatever from last night.
Oh, how was that?
Literal
awkward.
Clowns.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they usually are.
It's a table full of clowns.
Yes.
Many women beclowned themselves.
Yes, she literally looked like Raggedy Ann.
A little bit.
Good.
All right. Olivia Claire says Brett should be cast for Bob the Tomato for live action VeggieTales. Not even sorry for that joke. Hi, Chris. I feel weird calling him Chris.
Hi, Olivia. Oh yeah, is my name Chris or is it Bert?
It's Chris.
Oh, people were like, "Who's this Chris guy?" It's Bert.
Well, it's Chris today.
All right,
it's
fine. It's Chris today.
And yes, I am extremely I don't do sunblock, so I got kind of screwed on Sunday. Yeah, I didn't realize it till later. I came home, took a nap, and woke up and was like, Oh.
That happens.
All right. Deuce Boogaloo says, nah, Brett, you're nothing like Brian. You're a fun time, bro, and great host. The primary reason I watch. Hold your head up, King. Yes, I could get that. Maybe I'll go as the Brian guy from whatever for Halloween next year. I'll get like the green button up. That's what I can do next year. I'll do that.
Okay.
I got to keep that in mind. I'm gonna forget that.
Brian from whatever podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna go as him next year. All right, let's hold off on the rest, and we will come back. We got a bunch to get to, but we got other stuff to talk about today. Dave Chappelle is in the news. He went on a bit of a roasting spree on the city of San Francisco. Yeah, he did. He basically said, "What the f happened to this place?" And he's right for the most part, is he not?
I haven't been there to check up on San Francisco myself personally, but there are things that I see on TV that lead me to believe that San Francisco is having a rough one. So I saw CNN talking about all of the businesses that are leaving, and my estimation is it's probably the crime is the last straw, right? Like, it's hard to have a business in San Francisco. There are all kinds of things that go along with it. You have to play nice with the city. I'm sure taxes are high, et cetera, et cetera. And most of the retailers go in there knowing, all right, we're not going to be making an extremely large margin here, but it's fine.
Why do it then?
Pardon me?
Why do it then?
Well, because of all the people. The thing is, if you have enough volume, the margin doesn't matter as much.
Have you seen the videos on Twitter, like where everything in the Target is locked up?
That's exactly what I'm getting at. But the point is, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, they accept the fact that their margins are going to be tight. And then when you throw on top of it the fact that they can't stop people from shoplifting, the crime tends to be the thing that breaks, the straw that breaks the camel's back. Because the crime, not only are you losing stuff, you're putting people that work there in danger. Yes. So there are multiple reasons, and I'm sure, but I think that at the end of the day, the crime is the major reason. And one of my buddies jumps in and is like, "Are you sure?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, oh my God, come on.
Well, what would the other reason be? And
someone said that it was price gouging, which I have no idea
where that comes.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this guy that does that, he's a hate follower, and he's just a complete idiot.
Okay.
Let me put it this way:
complete idiot. If you're watching, you're such a moron.
I worked in a grocery store back in 2014 when this whole, the $950 or less is not, they were telling us, like, don't even bother calling the cops at that point. People just started walking out with shopping carts, and it's just like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Cops aren't even going to show up.
Yeah.
What's the point?
And it's too dangerous for you to do anything.
Exactly, because if I did anything, what if I get shot? What if I get
or you do something happens to them and you go to jail, right?
And then I lose my job on top of all of it.
So the liability is just too much. It's not worth it. And so businesses are just like, all right, well, if we're not going to have the basic protections from the state that we're paying for, up yours.
Yeah. So the Netflix star told the crowd that he was dining at an Indian restaurant in the city's Tenderloin district and recalled that a homeless person defecated in front of the establishment just as Chappelle was walking in. Well, that will sour anyone's opinion on a place, right?
I am no longer hungry.
He said that San Francisco has devolved into half Glee and half zombie movie, which is an amazing comparison.
Yeah.
When you really think about it, that's an amazing comparison. Like, I'm picturing like a zombie walking next to Zuckerberg, and they're walking next to each other down the street with like reinforced shoes to prevent the needles from going into their feet.
So, I mean, we can meme on it and stuff, but I mean, from what I hear, it's not welcoming. It's not a place that you want to go. But he says you get stabbed or whatever,
He says the entire city has become the Tenderloin district now, which is not good, which is notorious for crime, homelessness, and drug problems. Do you guys think that any of this is kind of attached to? There's this YouTube channel, and I wish I could shout them out right now because, and I can't remember the name of the channel off the top of my head, but it's this channel that it documents homelessness and shares a lot of stories of people who are homeless living on the streets, and does so in a way that's very, very respectful, and it's there to tell their stories. It's called like The Unseen or something like that.
Have they also interviewed like workers on the street?
No, I mean it is done in a way that's clearly it's not showing you the ones that are being unbelievably disruptive or rude to people. It's not showing you that.
It's just like a candid conversation.
Yes, with people that are going through that. And a lot of the conversations they're having are obviously in California, because homelessness there is obviously, it's more ideal than a lot of other places because of the weather. Climate-wise, it's where a lot of them end up going, right? Yeah. But now there's also like this pushback where even Dave Chappelle, if he was to go out and call them homeless in a bit, he would be called insensitive because he wouldn't use terms like the unhomed.
Yeah.
Like
the unhoused.
The unhoused. Yeah. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to say any of that. Somebody said homophobic. That was amazing. Yes, that's
brilliant.
Yeah, but it's like there's all of this. It's all of these weird types of causes that have become weirdly political. This and landlords are the ones that I always laugh about. Because they kind of go hand in hand.
I get what you're saying, but this is not a surprise once you acknowledge the fact that the influence on the left is literal communism. Yeah. It's no longer left liberalism
which is what a Chappelle would be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It is straight up, we don't like landlords. That's a communist perspective. Straight up. You shouldn't, if you own a building with multiple rooms, you should be forced to give those rooms to homeless people so they can defecate in the rooms in the building you own. That kind of stuff is, we want to take your property. It's not like they say that it's about the homeless people, but what it's about is the
abolishing
fact that you own property. Yeah. So that's straight up communism. It's not, the communists and the left now, like nowadays, they're not in any way shy about the fact that they're communists anymore. There was just one of the directors for AOC's, her campaign just came out and admitted that she's a communist. She left the Democratic Party and she went to the
Communist Party.
Was it the Communist
Party?
Or was it
might have been like a faction of the Communist Party in
Was
New
it
York?
the Demsocs, the Democratic Socialists?
Possibly.
Yeah, the DSA is communist. They say we follow the immortal science of Marx. Like, it is straight up communism. And that is every bit as bad as Nazis. They are every bit as authoritarian, and they will kill you for thinking the wrong thing. That's what communists do. Historically, that's what they've done. So,
but just think about the golden age that we were living in the early 2000s and the late 90s, where someone like Chappelle was the bastion of our culture, who could bring you ideas that were very much part of liberal dogma, but was done so in a way that everyone could laugh about. Like, I've tried to explain to other, like, I don't know if me and Mary have had this discussion, but I said, like, there used to be a time when memes weren't a thing. You just shouted Dave Chappelle quotes at one another from across the room. That was a thing. Yeah. Like, purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. I'm from Minnesota. Everyone said that to everyone else all the time, right? Rick James had a whole second thing because of the culture that the liberal attitude was able to bring us at that time period, and it's gone now.
Yeah,
it breaks my heart because I watch media that comes out now, and I just think, like, we could have had it so good, guys. Yeah. We could, but you went and fucked it up.
And none of this, they call these ideas progressive, and they are as regressive as it gets. Yeah. They will destroy your society. If you don't have private property rights, if you don't have police that enforce property rights, you get San Francisco. Yeah. You get people stealing stuff. And if people are going to steal stuff all the time, you get businesses closing, and then San Francisco turns into Detroit. Yep. Detroit has been a mess for 30 years.
I mean, I've been telling people this story, like in Minnesota, like in Uptown, there was a rash of not just the crime that was happening in North Minneapolis in the cities, but in Uptown, there was graffiti going up on every business, right? Mm-hmm. And they were charging, they're like, look, you have 7 days you have 7 days to clear this up, to clean up the graffiti. If you don't, the city's going to do it, and then we're going to charge you for what we did. And I'm like, you voted for this. Like, you did this. This is your responsibility.
But yes, you're right. But the problem is there are too many people that vote for things that could never be delivered because they believe and because they want to believe that they can be. Yes. They want to believe that they can, that the things that they're voting for can be delivered. Yes. There's a $20 one.
$20.
Game blouses from Artera's double aught.
All right.
Game blouses. Okay.
In reference to?
I don't know.
It's an in-joke, and we're not in on the joke. I guess. I just think it's one of those things where Chappelle was such a good indicator of where we were as a culture at a time when things were clearly more cohesive than they are now. Far more cohesive.
Yeah, if you asked the average person in 2002 if racism was a big problem in the United States, black and white, Asian, doesn't matter. Most people were like, no. Not really, no, because we kind of were all like, no, we're cool with each other, right? And then 2010 comes around, and everyone's got a cell phone in the pocket, and BuzzFeed and all these, these media things are just shoving all this racial
God, it's
garbage.
from the Chappelle show. Frick, I forgot.
What?
Oh,
I don't remember it.
I think we broke Brett.
I guess so.
It's one of those days, dude. There are times where like we'll get references, like where somebody will point something out to me, and I'll watch it later, and then I will not even be able to believe that I missed what they were talking about in those. Okay, you guys win today. That one's on me. Also, I want to point out for Chappelle, this is one of these things where he says that you guys need Batman. They kind of do. San Francisco does kind of need. Does need Batman.
Yeah, look at the guy in the subway in New York. Don't be Batman. They'll just throw you in jail. Yeah. That's the problem. Is like the DAs aren't like they have all the laws they need.
Yeah.
It is already illegal to steal. Yeah. It's that the DA doesn't want to prosecute. Yep. Like all of their problems could be solved if they got a DA that said, okay, we're actually going to follow the law. But you had, from 2020, you had all these people that had the ACAB sentiment. If you hate the cops, and the cops basically are like, well, I'm going to retire and take my pension now, and I'm not going to stick around. The good cops are like, see ya. Like, you're going to end up with cops that don't care, bad cops, fewer cops, and that means more crime, blah, blah, blah. Like, all these things are very predictable. And
I do think phones, I don't think it's just the BuzzFeeds in the who else would you say? BuzzFeed, Vice, all of these places. I think a lot of it is also that, like, in a lot of ways, it's been democratized in a way now that, like, look, yeah, BuzzFeed can write those articles, but people share a lot of humor now. And I don't think this is just black and white. I think this is men and women too, that men and women... men used to have conversation with other men that was not distinctly supposed to be heard by the opposite sex. And women did the same thing. Yes. And it was a way of sort of, it was a pressure valve for the problems you had in a relationship or the issues you had with the opposite sex. And now that same thing happens, not just between men and women, but between different races, where humor that was meant for the in-group is now shared with everyone. And even if it's not meant to be offensive or rude in a truly abhorrent sense, right? Meaning, like, sure, it's a joke, but everybody has to learn how to take a joke, right? That joke might be said differently if they were in the company of someone of another race, or it might have been held off as like, look, maybe I don't make this joke in front of that person. Now we share that with everyone. We don't just put them out within our in-groups or anything like that. And that's the thing. A lot of times this humor is now shared with everyone when it wasn't necessarily meant to be.
Sure.
People don't get it because they're not there. They don't know that person personally. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
I understand what you're saying, and I don't think that I don't think you're wrong. Yeah. I think the conditions are that you're describing are probably true. So I mean, yeah, I don't find any significant problem with it. The people that have an issue with things that they hear are going to find an issue, regardless, because these same people that are woke right now, right, that what they're doing, it doesn't matter like that it's woke, right? If the dominant kind of the dominant narrative was still a Christian narrative, and that was what people were pushing from like positions of authority, then you would have those same people freaking out because someone blasphemed. Yeah. Like this same motivation that you find in the woke people, like people that are super woke and blah, 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 that is just the religious motivation. It's tribal motivation. And if it were that the normative perspective was the same that it was 30 years ago, and you introduced a technology like the cell phone, then you would have that normative perspective still going around, and you would have, it would be blasphemers or whatever. And that you can see that because that kind of thing happens in Islamic countries now. They have the technology, but it's not woke stuff that's going around. I mean, there's some, I'm sure, but it's not that. It's mostly Islamic culture that's being shared, and they have the virtue police in some countries and that kind of stuff. But I think that it's probably more because of people.
You know how we heal the culture? We bring Dave Chappelle back for Half Baked. And look.
I like that. That's a good
weed
idea.
humor encourages everyone.
Yeah.
Like everyone can laugh at that. Like even people that don't smoke weed. Well, like I was never a pothead, but I could laugh at the humor. I got the humor.
Ben Shapiro won't laugh at it.
Well, he should. He should, right? He should. All I'm saying is that there was a time when that type of humor was, like Harold and Kumar. Everyone can laugh at that.
We got a $20 from Artie's Double Aught. Again, the street hoop skit is also a classic, as well as the wrap it up box.
Have you seen the one where they get reparations?
Probably, but I haven't watched it in a long time.
I wonder if we could do maybe that's what I would do for I've been considering doing watch parties in my free time. As bonus content for the show.
That's
maybe
great.
Maybe Chappelle show watch parties would be something.
You should just watch all kinds of old pop, old funny stuff.
We're not watching new stuff. That's for damn sure.
Blazing Saddles.
Yes.
Oh my God, I love that movie.
Of course you do. You have a sense of humor.
My dad. I was raised properly. Okay.
Good.
Yeah. All right. How do you think they fix Cal? Do they put Chappelle in charge? Is that how they fix California?
I have no. Well, I mean, there's the real answer, which is DAs, district attorneys, and enforcing the law.
Yeah.
But then there's the other answers, San Andreas Fault could fix it.
Does anybody else? Okay, I know you guys haven't been following this as close as me. Given everything that you've said about activist district attorneys who aren't doing anything, I still have to wonder why the hell they're going forward with the charges on Jonathan Majors, given the fact that that's how New York is not any different. New York is in many ways the exact same.
So the DA in New York is exactly like you said. He's he's a politically motivated, has an agenda. Hopefully the people of New York, when it actually goes to trial, will let this poor man go.
Assuming there isn't evidence we haven't seen.
Well, assuming there isn't evidence. I find it unlikely because if I understand correctly, the whole train car was dude, thanks, bro. This guy smelled bad, and I'm sure he was gonna pee right in my lap,
Oh no, I'm not talking about who you're talking. I'm talking about the actor. The actor who's going to. I was bringing back to pop culture. There's an actor who's being tried for charges of basically that he abused his girlfriend when there's no evidence of it.
Did you see the new Creed? Creed 3?
No.
Dude is jacked. Dude is freaking enormous.
Yeah.
But his girlfriend basically there's no proof that he did anything, but they keep pushing forward with the charges. Yeah. And now they're saying that 2 other ex-girlfriends have come forward, but what do those claims matter if there's no physical evidence to it, right? And I just can't figure out how in a city like New York, which is choosing not to prosecute all the time on various crimes, what would make them go after an actor who's part of the elite class there, right? He's an up-and-coming Hollywood star. Some people are claiming racism, that it could be because of the race of the actor. I don't know if I buy that, but it is weird that they've seemed to develop
What color is the actor?
He's black.
He's a black guy?
Yeah.
So conspiracy theory, maybe they're doing it to push forward the narrative in the first place.
Maybe, I don't know. But we'll see. All right. Let's go. We got a couple of super chats there. Let's go. Let me figure it out there. My buttons are not working today. Where did I leave off here? I think I left off. I want to make sure I don't miss any. I know I missed one on Friday's show, so I'm going to do my best to not miss any today, guys. That was not on purpose. I do apologize for that. From Gordon Shumway says, Independence Day is one of the most realistic movies. A Marine marries a stripper, then saves the world. It's every Marine's dream come true.
They left out the part where he finances a Camaro at 35% interest. I know that Marine.
I think my favorite part of that is the fact that she's a stripper during the apocalypse.
Yeah.
She's literally stripping while aliens are landing.
Yeah.
And then also
get that bag, sweetheart.
Also, all of the people who go up to the top of the roof with their signs welcoming the aliens, and they're the first to go.
Oh yeah.
They end up being the first ones that the aliens get rid of. It's also highly unreal. like, I think my favorite part is also the upload speed for that virus on an alien ship. Like, given, I can't really get, I miss one update on the Stream Deck and this podcast just collapses. I don't know if I buy that an old Apple PowerBook is going to upload to an alien computer, but Call
of Duty has like 15 gig updates. Yep. And I got real fast internet at the apartment down here. Man, it still takes a while.
Yep.
I don't know if alien viruses upload that quickly. I'm just saying.
I hear that they're not graphic intensive, so
that could be true. It could just be code heavy.
It's just code heavy.
It's easier. Also, one of
zeros and ones.
It's got Adam Baldwin in it. Based Adam Baldwin, who shoots the can off of the Coke, the fantastically done product placement of that Coke can.
His brother would have done it different.
Everyone's they're not related.
Wow. They're not.
They're not. No, they're not. We got a $20 one from. It went away. It says, Samantha Wernette, I apologize, but your message has been retracted. She may not want it read if it's been pulled back, so I do apologize. If you want it read, and that was a mistake, let me know. But it looks like it says where did the super chat go? It's saying it's gone, guys. I don't know where it went. We can read it though. It should be on yours, the very bottom one on the far left tab.
On mine,
I've got all of them pulled up there. The spreadsheet tab all the way to the left, the Google spreadsheet.
Let's see. All right, there we go.
Go to the very bottom. Let's see what it says. She says no, read it.
Oh, okay.
Does that mean no, read it, or don't read it?
Right, yeah.
From Samantha Wernette?
Hold on. Do you mean
it was a mistake?
Oh, it was a mistake. Okay, so we will hold off. Sorry about that, Samantha. All right, let's. I think we got one more in there, and then we will move on. We got it from Serenko Production says, happy leap years worth of PCC episodes. Yes, it's 366 episodes today. So you could now theoretically watch an episode every day.
Every day.
Technically, you have to listen to all of them because we didn't do live episodes until into the closer to 150 or something like that.
You know what they could do? They could listen to them on the weekends and then listen to the new episodes Monday through Friday.
That would be our hope.
So that way you get your total fix.
Oh, she's saying yes, read it.
Okay, now she's saying yes, read it.
Okay. Man.
Mixed signals, ladies. This is how the whatever podcast comes
from
to be.
Samantha Wernette. But think about Deshaun Watson. Same situation and got worse, but he got paid lots.
Okay. Is that one?
Deshaun, why does he sound familiar?
That one vaguely rings a bell to me, but I might be mistaking it with something else.
No idea.
Deshaun, football player.
There we go. Yep. Trucker and Tourist just did a $20 super chat. Watch parties would be an amazing idea that we could implement on Discord. Go to Timcast and click join us to talk to like-minded people on Discord.
That was a fantastic.
Shaboom.
That was like a super chat and an ad read.
You
all at the
literally
same time.
just paid to run an ad for Pop Culture Crisis. My man.
I've been rewatching Suits this weekend. It's an old favorite of mine. I was recording a video up here. I'm doing this series. I've got one waiting to come out. I'm waiting on a title graphic that I'm finishing on this pitch series where I'm pitching people old TV shows they should go and watch. And I was talking about the great USA Network shows of the mid-2010s. And I realized that it's like 9 shows, all of which I've seen multiple times each. Mm-hmm. And I started rewatching Suits, and I was amazed at how many ways they can make Toronto look like New York City. They use the same 3 fake taxis the whole show.
I mean, when's the last time you've been to Toronto?
A very long time ago.
Toronto does not look anything like New York City. Well, I don't care what anyone says.
It's a big city, and therefore
there is no city that's like New York City. And I've been to a whole bunch of cities all over the world.
But if you haven't been to New York, you would know that.
You're right. I wouldn't know that.
You wouldn't.
I had not been to the city.
Just see tall buildings and be like, "Oh, that's like New York City." It's like, first of all, if you're in Toronto, they might be nicer.
Yes, the buildings are nicer. It's cleaner.
In a lot of ways. Also, they might be more polite at the start of the conversation rather than saying like, "Who is this?" which is how I'm always greeted.
True looking at.
Yeah, exactly. So it's what I love New York, but only for like the weekend. I can't spend more than 3 to 4 days in New York at a time, at the most.
I avoid New York personally.
All right, Decoy Voice says, best old show ever, The Shield. Yes, guys, if you have not seen The Shield with Michael Chiklis, it's first of all, if you're not used to like like fever pitch storytelling. It's done with this like it's almost all handheld, like handheld camera. Yeah. So it's like a lot of jerky motion, but it's not like Bourne films where it's like unrecognizable. There's this amazing shot once where he's coming in a room and they shot themselves into a corner where he comes in the room and the cameraman is so close to him that he's just in the shot with like the shot in the front, the master is just too wide, and the camera who's filming the second angle of him coming into the shot, he's literally so close that he's in the shot, and they just left it in. Either they didn't catch it or they just left it in.
That's funny
because it's shot in like a docudrama style way, where like a lot of times you'll be looking at the characters in the bullpen, and it's filmed zoom lens from up on the balcony.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. I recommend everyone go check out The Shield.
We got another $20 super chat here from Disco Jensen. I was going through a search through movies released every year since 74 till current year. Would you be interested in a weekly or so review of hits along the timeline of cinema? Tons of great films in history.
I mean, that would be like, I have a lot of homework to do with 70s and 80s movies that like I need to go back and watch. Like I still never seen the original Conan, and I need to watch the original Conan. Like there's a lot of movies where I see like old people.
But
like,
do you know what's best in life?
Do I? No.
All right, you do need to see the Conan. Right.
Yeah. So there's a lot that I still have to go back and watch through, because most of the stuff that I picked up was from the 90s upwards, right? And stuff like that. So
to see your enemies driven before you and hear the lamentation of their women.
There's you again.
Hi.
There's you. Yeah.
Party.
That's not true, Jacob Edler. Jacob Edler says Brett doesn't watch movies. I do watch mostly television shows, but I have made it a point to spend Saturdays, like if I haven't been busy, watching old action movies, like things that I just never got around to seeing or want to rewatch and just haven't seen in a long time.
Right.
So there's a $20 one right there.
Oh boy.
Yep.
The Last of My Kind. 8 years USMC can confirm and have known both the officer that married the stripper and the private that financed the Camaro at 28% interest. Boys. Phil, are you playing Jedi Survivor? I like it so far. I've not checked out Jedi Survivor. I kind of want to, although I did see some gameplay, and the stormtroopers are very stormtroopery. Someone literally, there was a part where the dude's hanging. Someone's like, I'm going to go get a drink, and they literally got up, left. Stormtroopers are still shooting. Never hit him. Didn't even hit him. So
well, that makes perfect sense.
Yes, it does. So it's very true to the game. I'm sorry, to the canon. But yeah, cheers. Thank you.
All right, guys, let's move on. We got a bunch of other stuff to talk about. Let's get into Cleopatra, because there's a crap ton to this story, and it's very, very disjointed, and I want to get through it as coherently as possible. So Netflix's Queen Cleopatra is now officially the worst-rated show Netflix has ever made.
Good.
And it's in high competition to be worse than an even worse show that came out a couple of years ago called Santa Inc., which is, in my opinion, just as bad. Right now, on the tomato meter, 13% from critics, 1% audience score. It was actually at, it's actually gone down. It's 11% from critics, 2% from audience score. So they're also blaming review bombing, which is what they do anytime something like this comes out.
Yes.
And they never actually offer proof as to what makes something a review bomb. And I think both sides are guilty of this. I think it's just as logical that people that hate something could review bomb something because they hate it, and then the people that hate that you hate it will review bomb it the other direction because they like it, or they like it because you hate it.
Right? Yeah, I mean, it could be. If I understand correctly, there is significant historical evidence that Cleopatra was actually Greek, that she was from like Athens or something like that. So I think that is probably why people are like, hey, this is not historical.
Yeah.
So why are we gonna watch?
But they're
someone's, what's the word? They're
fan fiction.
Yeah, fan fiction. That might be the one, or might work. I don't think that's compelling. No. I just don't feel like. Obviously, I mean, a one. You know, so maybe I'm onto something there with the idea that it's not compelling.
Yeah. So it's sitting now at 11% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics, 2% from audience score. Santa Inc. never even got a critics score, and 4% from audiences. So this is even better than that. Even though that show, this is even worse than that. And that show is literally the most cynical bit of garbage about the most not cynical time of year. And that was why that was so completely over the top and awful. But they're saying Netflix's new series hit with the lowest score in company history. And they try to make a vague argument as to why it would be the controversy over her skin color leads to review bombing. And I think we all know that that's not the case.
The thing is, like, I think that for the most part, it seems like audiences are mostly okay with reimagining characters if they're fake. If they're fiction, right? So there is an argument. It's a fictional character.
I mean, even then,
blah, blah,
I would
blah.
say that there's a lot of people that aren't all right with that.
There is, but I think that generally it doesn't strike people as offensive and as much of a problem as taking an actual historical figure and then rewriting history to placate your own ego. Because that's really what this is. This is like, I want the person to look like me. It's the same thing that the Christians got forever get crap about doing with Jesus. A blue-eyed Jesus. Come on. Come on. You know he looked like he was from the Middle East. Because he was from the Middle East. You know?
It seemed like I read through a bunch of the reviews from critics and audiences. It seems like they universally all hated the reenactments. Like that seems to be the number one thing. Like it's also funny in these cases, and again, I haven't seen it. I can't speak to it. Anytime a story like this comes up, everyone falls over themselves to be like, oh, the lead actress did great, which is them saying, I'm not a racist, but there's this problem with it, right? So it's like they're going out of their way while they're watching this. They're saying like, look, the reenactments were horrible. Not the main actress.
They're going to call you names anyways, homie.
The other characters in it seem to be doing dinner theater. I'm like, I know what you meant. And that's fine, but like I don't think you're being genuine. I think you're being disingenuous because you're afraid of getting backlash from
That's
people.
what we call a dog whistle.
Yeah. The funny thing is, here the proof to their argument being wrong is actually there because there's another African Queen series from Netflix that came out prior to this that has almost universally high praise from critics and audiences.
Was it accurate and good?
Yes. So it was accurate, so there was no swapping. Therefore, they don't have a problem with it, right? It's the same reason we talk about why these characters, why do they never have a problem with stories that are told about African American characters when it's just about an African American character as opposed to when they race swap a character.
Two super chats, $20 super chats. One from 1,000 Foot Derp End. What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear their lamentations of their women. Updated to 2023, to appease your enemies, see them take your homes, and hear the squalls of the trans women.
Accurate?
Yeah.
Mostly the crying of the trans women forced to use the men's bathroom.
And then there's one more there.
And then there's one more. Deshaun Watson, let's see, from Francisco Sanchez Jr. Deshaun Watson settled 23 or 24 lawsuits against him for lewd behavior when he played for the Houston Texans. He then got traded to the Cleveland Browns and signed a 5-year, $230 million contract.
Must be. Oh, that case. Holy crap. I forgot about that. Yes. How long ago was that now? I have to look. Hold on. I'm going to look this up. How long ago was that case? That couldn't have been. I just had it here. Yeah, he had assault allegations. So it says, on March 16th, 2021, a Houston massage therapist filed a civil suit against, I thought he had like 5 or 6 claims against him, right? Like a bunch of women came forward and said that like he was unprofessional. I'll use that word for podcast safeties.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they said that he touched her with the tip of his you-know-what. Well, she was visiting his home, her home for treatment. So
you can't do that in a professional way.
Yeah, no, believe it or not.
There's not an actual professional way
to do that.
To sexually assault someone. In case you're wondering, guys. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Just say no. I'm going to read this quote from The Guardian regarding what they're talking about with Queen Cleopatra. They say, the series puts little stock in the particular skin color of its lead, given uncertainty of her appearance. That's gaslighting.
Uncertainty.
That's gaslighting.
They're pretty certain.
In fact, it suggests that people tend to view Cleopatra as their proxy. The African-American academic, Professor Shelby P. Haley, says that her grandmother pictures her as black.
I'm not Greek.
Dr. Islam Issa says he imagines her as having the same pale brown skin and curly hair as he does, identifying her as one thing or another that amounts to little more than guesswork and presumes that race is or ever was a fixed concept.
We got a $20 super chat from Disco Jensen. POC claim Egyptian kings were black. Okay. Egyptians enslaved the Jews. Checkmate.
Got him.
What?
Got him.
What?
Yet, despite their solid credentials and insight into her origins, the talking heads regularly feel like fans rather than historians. Some of their insights resemble fan fiction, particularly when they speculate as to how great a lover Cleopatra must have been. Given the 2 millennia that have passed describing her and Caesar's tryst seems overly salacious. They seem to have no problem calling out that aspect of the fan fiction. But they don't want you calling out the other aspects of the fan fiction. You have fallen into ideological territory here. What I'm talking about, when I said this earlier, this is a byproduct. This is the natural outcome of the phrase, my truth, which is that you can fit anything to fit your belief system if you try hard enough and ignore all the facts to the contrary.
You call it my truth. I call it your anecdote.
There you go. Exactly. So,
That's a good one.
Yeah.
They say that Adele James plays a mixed race actor with a glorious crown of dark curls who brings a fierce intelligence to her portrayal of Cleopatra. It's just weird to me that they know why this bothers people. They do, but the charitable definition is that they're ignoring it. And they actually believe this. I don't think that's true. The less charitable definition is that they're gaslighting you. And they want you to feel like a bad person for not being okay with this. It wasn't okay with it when it was done in the past, going the other direction, and it doesn't make it right now. The difference is we should have learned from our mistakes at that point. And if you want to make a story like this, just tell either a fictional story or find a different queen that is less known, but perhaps more. In fact, wouldn't it be better?
They did tell a fictional story. It's called like a fictional story of Wakanda.
Well, yes. Well, and then people get mad when you find out that was created by 2 Jewish men. Those characters were created by 2 Jewish men. Like they don't like that either.
I mean,
that's the thing. I mean, there were people that believe that Wakanda was a real place, so there's no accounting for taste or intelligence on that one. You see that? Did you see that?
Sincerely?
Yes. People
like
were
a large group.
People were like looking to book tickets on Travelocity for Wakanda. They wanted hotel tickets in Wakanda.
Wow.
It's the world we live in these days. It was like when I was talking to you about that article where the person said the country of Africa. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is.
Dumb.
Yeah. And the number one complaint seems to be that they keep going back and forth about how bad most of the actual reenactment scenes in this were. And then my favorite here was like, if you wanted actual proof that there could be, I bet you it's gone now. So all of the comments are kind of vague, but there was this one that I thought was, let me see if I can find it, guys. I'm going on the fly. Some of these comments are a little bit too
spicy.
Vague would be a better term. But there was one where it's like a guy named Steve. He says, "I'm a black queen," and he was talking about. He's like, "This story really speaks to him," and I'm like, "You go off, queen." Like, it's,
good for you, Steve.
It's all for you, man. Do you think that this is going to keep happening?
No, not indefinitely.
You don't think they're going to keep doing that with stories like this?
No, there's going to be. I think that it eventually it'll fall out of favor. I don't know how long it's going to take, but eventually it'll fall out of favor.
I think the problem is that these companies aren't selling tickets, so it doesn't matter. Like, this just falls off the ledger sheet at Netflix as something like, oh well, we took a shot, it didn't work. If this lost them a ton of money at the box office, that would be one thing.
We got a $20 super chat from Braymont. Can we all agree? If Cleopatra was black, then Tom Cruise was actually the last samurai. I can agree.
Yes.
I can.
Thank you. Somebody said it.
You know,
the thing is,
Ken Watanabe came back recently and like actually like defended that movie. He was in that movie with him and basically said like, look, it was a product of its time, but it was a good movie. Like he defended that movie. And then some of the other examples are like how many people, like there's a lot of actors that have been race swapped for characters they clearly were not.
Yeah.
You know, and we should have learned from that by now. But I'm kind of with you. Like, I am of the middle ground variety when it comes to fictional characters. Like, especially if you get a top-notch actor, I'm usually okay with it. Like, it doesn't bother me the same way it bothers a lot of other people. But I understand that what I'm allowing there is the gateway that allows this crap to happen.
Most people didn't care that Sam Jackson was Nick Fury.
No.
And Nick Fury was, you know, he's a white guy in the comics for ages and ages. And
Not anymore, but originally.
Originally. And now and then like when it was Sam Jackson, we were like, oh, Sam Jackson?
Because it's Sam Jackson.
Cool, all right. Man, I'm down. I like him. You know, he obviously performs the character perfectly well. I mean, he's a great actor. People kind of didn't care. Yeah. You know?
Oh, somebody points out Morgan Freeman played God. Yes, in Bruce Almighty.
Nobody cared.
Nobody cared.
I mean, I don't know that God is a color, but okay.
But they also
it's not like they re-swapped him.
They have here's a fun fact. They have Dennis Haysbert from he's the voice of I don't know what he's got a really deep voice. He's a car commercial guy, but he was also in the show The Unit. He plays God on Lucifer on the show Lucifer. It's really really good. But also you mentioned which one did you mention? You mentioned which actor?
I don't know.
No, which one did you just mention? You mentioned Sam Jackson.
Sam Jackson. You mentioned Morgan Freeman.
You mentioned Morgan Freeman. Denzel Washington in Man on Fire. That was originally a white person in the first version of that movie. There's tons of examples of that. But if you're an actor with that pedigree, nobody cares.
Yeah, they're great actors. It's like no one cares. But just like you said,
we have to acknowledge that by being okay with that, we make it possible for this for this historical crap to happen. I do believe that.
I don't know. And
thank you.
The reason I don't know is because of the fact that there is a distinction that can be made. Look, these people did exist, and this was their life. To change it is to say that people that existed were different than they were. I don't have I do think that maybe it does open the door for some people. But I don't.
The people making it does.
I don't. Well, I don't know about that either. I think people making it would do the changes regardless of if they were fictional or not. I think the point is the changes, because the point is to change what has been shared history and shared popular culture. The changes in pop culture are motivated by a desire to take away something that unifies America generally, and by changing it and to say that it's no longer just American or it's just this, we have to change it to make it the new pop culture of America, you know? So that's just my take on it.
I think that for a lot of them, it's just going to be one of those things that's going to get worse. I think they're going to keep being more bold with these decisions. As long as streaming is still a thing, this will keep happening.
Let's put it this way. It's kind of related to the Bud Light thing.
Yeah.
Michael Knowles from the Daily Wire, he had this whole tweet thread where he went on about how Bud Light, they're not apologizing because they're too entwined with, and it's depending on if you want to think this is a conspiracy theory or not, they're too entwined with World Economic Forum and all these other things that it's like the messaging received by people does not matter. They're already invested in this thing. They're not going to turn back.
Just think Klaus Schwab drinks Bud Light. I don't think Klaus Schwab drinks Bud Light. That's my personal opinion. I imagine that he drinks something else.
Do lizard people drink Bud Light?
I imagine he drinks some kind of elixir that he believes will let him live forever, or at least live long enough until technology can catch up so that he can live forever.
Well, there is something like that. It starts with an A and ends with adrenochrome.
It starts with an A and ends with adrenochrome.
Adrenochrome. Yes, exactly. So, look, guys, I understand that for me, because a lot of times I defend, like, I'm always like, look, I wouldn't care if they race swap James Bond as long as they don't make the story about race. I do believe that is my own kind of, I'm admitting that I understand that it makes this stuff possible. And I do think it does. I think it's a little bit of that and a little bit of the fact that these people think of reality and truth as malleable because they're relativists, right? Like that.
Yes, there is a significant, I think, attitude of relativism that has kind of taken over popular culture, and there is no real good or bad except for power. And so if you have power and can exercise power, you're bad. If you don't have power and power is exercised over you, you are automatically good. And those are kind of the moral dynamics that we live in now.
In the chat, Deuce Boogaloo says Klaus is German. Just ethnicity drinking Bud Light would be an atrocity.
Let me tell you, the German people, they need to sit down.
Be careful.
And chill out.
Be careful.
Because they had one horrible idea and followed it up with an even more horrible idea.
Is that the VW?
Well, first it was. I mean, Marx is a German, and obviously Hitler is German too. So they have the bookend of terrible ideas in the 20th century. Germany now runs the EU. They need to sit down and knock it off.
We remember the Frankfurt School. We're not letting that happen again.
Not yet. I mean, seriously, when the Germans get an idea, the rest of Europe suffers. They get nervous.
We're kidding, guy. Well, are we kidding?
No.
Okay,
I'm not. He might be.
Okay.
Germans, chill. Easy. Klaus Schwab.
In the chat, Georgios points out Hitler was Austrian. I'm leaving that face on screen.
Fine.
There you go. All right, guys, we're moving on. We're going back to super chats here. Let's check a few of these out. Again, we're working by the seat of our pants here today, so we're not as organized as we would normally be. I believe we are down to John Solis says a Discord thread where gamers can squad up and stream would be cool. Another great older show like The Shield was Southland. Southland was one of those ones where I watched the pilot episode and always meant to go back and just, it was like either gone because it was at that time where streaming wasn't as much of a thing. Like you had to actually watch it on the website for like ABC or whatever channel it was on. And I never got around to watching that again. I also wanted to watch is that the one with, if I'm remembering correctly, with the dude from, Michael Imperioli. I'll have to go back and check that out. I'm going to have to, it was such a long time ago, but I love that whole era of, and Detroit 187 is the one I'm thinking of, is the one with Michael Imperioli.
Right.
All right. We got a couple more here. I got to get my eyes checked one of these days. I'm going to have to do, isn't that sad? Like I'm wearing my glasses and I still have to like look really close at the text.
I do the same thing.
Isn't that embarrassing?
Yeah.
I'm not in any position to talk.
Sammy Football says $5 for the confusion of my last super chat. I'm new to the YouTube chat. I do the Discord. I like the true degenerate that I am.
Oh yeah, shout out to Sammy.
And hello Discord. Hello everybody. I hope you are all having a good day today. It's I check out the Discord throughout the weekend.
I am the Lord of the Discord.
You are.
I am the Lord.
You are in charge.
Yes.
All right, X says, which is worse, race swapping a monarch or writing slave traders as abolitionists in The Woman King? Yeah, guys, if you want to watch a really good video that's beyond my ramblings on this topic, The Critical Drinker released a fantastic video on why everybody hates Queen Cleopatra this weekend. And you should really go check that out because he does reference that. He references like how they made the tribe that they were in seem like they were not slave traders, and they're like they weren't.
Of course.
Yeah. Yep. All right, guys, we are going to move on. Oh wait, no, we got one more at the bottom there from Unusable Alpaca. We did not get that one. I hope that one just came through now.
Yeah, it just came through. Unusable Alpaca for 80s go with Tango and Cash, Stallone and Kurt Russell. Cobra, also another great Stallone movie.
Yes.
Demolition Man is amazing.
I have a
Cannonball Run. Smokey and the Bandit were 70s, but still great. Escape from New York for the 80s. These are all wonderful, wonderful.
I love Escape from New York. One time, I'm going to tell you guys a story. One time, just to piss Wesley off, I just sat there and told him that Escape from LA was better than Escape from New York, and he got so mad. So mad. I was like, it was literal shit posting. I'm like, oh yeah, no.
IRL, man. It's nothing better than shit posting
way
IRL.
Yeah.
But don't worry, I have a very large Demolition Man poster in my room, and that movie, more than any other, predicted the future in a lot of ways. Taco Bell supremacy being one of them.
A lot of ways.
Dude, I love Stallone.
Yeah.
So good.
I mean, but that and not just that, but him and Wesley Snipes in the same movie.
Yeah.
You really I mean, John Spartan is like the greatest hero name ever.
Yeah.
That it really is. Like when you're really, like, I'm a sucker for good names. For
John Spartan is phenomenal.
Like I'm a sucker for like perfectly named characters. Like that's just me. All right, we're moving on, guys. We got a little bit more to get into today. Do you guys know who Trevor Jacobs is? I had never heard of this before I read the story. Do you
not?
Heard of? Okay, so this is a story, guys. A YouTuber named Trevor Jacobs admits to crashing a plane for views, for internet clout.
Now he's going to jail.
Dude, they're saying he could do 20 years for this.
I mean, I guess it sucks. 20 years. And if no one was hurt, right?
Nobody was hurt.
Then...
Crashed in the. I posted the video. I sent you guys the video earlier. I don't know if it's still up.
Charge him.
His video is still up.
Dollars, I mean, charge him. Like for the cost of cleanup.
Yeah. Well, he cleaned it up himself to hide the evidence that he did on purpose. He like went back with a helicopter. Like this goes to show you how fake the world is now.
How did
the
people
world is so fake now? He went back with a helicopter, which means he theoretically needs to be able to afford to take a helicopter back to a plane crash site.
Well, he already afforded to just dump a plane. That's got to be $50,000.
So
even
it says
though it's an old beat up one, you know.
Yeah. So it says Trevor Jacobs, not Jacobs, posted the video of the plane crash on YouTube in December of 2021, implying that it was an accident. It has over 2.9 million views today. It's over 4 million. Now, he could face up to 20 years in prison. In a plea agreement, he said that he filmed the video as part of a product sponsorship deal. It doesn't list who the hell the product was for, but that company should also be, they should ask them, like, how much of this did you know he was going to do?
Scroll down and look at that lady on the news. Look at the screen cap they got.
That's not the nicest thing they could have done for her. It's a very unfortunate screenshot that they have of her there.
It's very unfortunate.
That not their best.
No.
It says the 29-year-old pilot and skydiver has agreed to plead guilty to one felony count of destruction and concealment with the intent to obstruct a federal investigation. You should not mess with the FAA.
No.
Or the NTSB.
No.
You know, I wonder if he'd have just left it and didn't go.
He had to retrieve the cameras. The cameras he had also, by the way, the cameras survived the plane crash. They still worked.
Look, I imagine the thing wasn't going all that fast because it had wings, right? So it's like, sure,
it's still a plane.
If the cameras survived, then for sure, like the passports survived. Whoops.
You know,
does jet fuel melt steel beams? I have no idea.
Zing.
The thing about the whole passport stuff, like if it's real, like that they did survive, like thinking of the violence that, like, you know, those bodies just got shot out and liquefied. Ugh. Anyways,
I'm a terrible person for laughing at this.
It says, in 2021, Mr. Jacobs left a Santa Barbara, California airport on a solo flight with cameras mounted on his plane. Along with the cameras, Mr. Jacob took a parachute with him as well as a selfie stick. And they point out, like, we're going to go through some of the comments on the YouTube video are just absolute gold. It says he did not intend to reach his destination, but instead planned to eject from his aircraft during the flight and video himself parachuting to the ground in his airplane as it descended and crashed. So he films the whole thing. You see the plane go into the side of the mountain as this is happening. Nothing, guys, nothing in the world is real anymore. Mm-hmm. You can't actually take anything for granted anymore.
That mountain is pretty real.
That's the only real thing in this video. It's the only real thing in this video. It says the plane crashed into the Los Padres National Forest 35 minutes after takeoff. He hiked to the site and recovered the footage.
You know.
Some YouTube viewers were skeptical of the crash, noting that Mr. Jacobs was already wearing a parachute and made no attempt to land the plane safely. He did, it says, he reported the crash to the National Transportation Safety Board, who said he was responsible for preserving the wreckage. According to the plea agreement, Mr. Jacobs later claimed he did not know the location site. He did. He returned by helicopter and secured and removed the wreckage, which he then later destroyed.
That's a lot of wreckage to put into a helicopter.
Yeah.
You put a whole plane into another helicopter?
Yeah.
So you're telling me a plane... No, I'm not going to go there.
Fit into a helicopter?
I mean, pieces? I don't know if they're talking about that or if they're saying he just retrieved the GoPro footage and stuff like that.
Man,
you're telling me the Pentagon?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It says he had his pilot's license revoked after this happened, obviously.
Shocking.
Yeah, shocking, right? Like, do you feel that this is going to become more and more common? Because look, he was doing this supposedly for a company. And that's bonkers to me that a company would assume. Did he just not tell them? Were they like, oh yeah, you're going to crash a plane. We're just going to assume that you're going to know what you're doing and no one's going to die in the process.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like we're kind of in the Wild West as far as advertising and reality go right now. Like there's no actual line. There's lines that can be crossed at any time because of stuff like this. Mm-hmm.
So is it possible that 9/11 was a sponsorship for like American Airlines?
No.
Yeah.
No. It's not possible at all. No.
I'm just asking the questions.
Asking the questions. Yeah, I don't know.
Where's Jesse Ventura when you need him?
Right.
I'm just asking questions. That's what he'll be saying.
I'm just asking questions.
How does one plane destroy 2 towers? Look, I'm more weary now than ever as to like what's real and what isn't. With all the videos that you see every day, and I think both sides fall victim to this too. Like, you'll watch videos that seem just perfectly ridiculous in the most normal of ways. Like now that like you see the same ridiculous stuff every day, right? Yeah. We see videos and we're kind of desensitized to how stupid people behave online. And I wonder how much of it is real and how much of it is just clout chasing.
Yeah.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
The thing is that the reason that it's compelling is if it's real. And when I say real, I mean actually happening, right? Like, so if it's
an actual crash.
Yeah, if it's a CG crash, no one cares. Right? It's just CG. The fact that he actually crashed a real plane is why people are like, what? No way, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know that there are limits that to what people will go to get into that, internet fame and stuff. So.
And that's what I'm scared of, right? Is that we're in an age now where people are addicted to that easy fame.
$20 super chat, 1,000-foot derp end. When did planes start leaving wreckage? I thought they always incinerated on impact. I'll defer to the CIA and NSA, of course. They're the experts. Maybe it's just 737s that disappear on impact.
Maybe this guy's maybe he just didn't pass his. He went to the FBI Academy. He failed. He went to the farm. He failed, and then this is the result. He's like, "I'll show you guys." This was one of my favorite comments though. This is from RF 2 hours ago. He says, "This guy is legit. My best friend is a pilot, and he told me in aviation school they teach you to use a selfie stick in all emergency situations. Bravo to you, sir, and congratulations on the pending 20-year contract." James Lee says, "I train pilots for emergency situations such as this. The main rule is that in any emergency, and I can't stress this enough, never ever forget your selfie stick." By the way, this video, this is still up. This guy has not taken. He's facing jail time, and this video is still online.
Awesome.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So he with 140,000 subscribers, this video has
subscribers. Like, we can't wait for you to follow it up.
This video has 4.1 million views.
Look, guys, you don't have to sub, right? They're so used to like, share, subscribe. You don't have to sub. He's not making another one anytime soon.
How many of you guys want to see a train derailment?
Yeah, you never know. Depends on what the next product he has to advertise is, right? Like, he could do something with like mopeds or something like.
Oh my God!
I'm down.
He's just gonna put like a bunch of like sledgehammers on rail tracks.
Perfect. Don't even give somebody the idea.
I don't know what would derail it.
So this another good sign for humanity is that this video has 38,000 likes, but 243,000 dislikes, which is good.
Boo.
That's good. No, you don't support that?
No, that's the general feel.
Do you think that this is the type of thing where in the future we're going to have to be kind of weary of everything we look at, even more than we already are?
Probably.
I mean, Midjourney, man.
AI, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I saw a video of Chairman Powell talking smack about the Bulls, not like the Bulls like the basketball game. Or no, he was talking about smack about the Bears, the people that thought that he wasn't going to, inject more money into. And I'm like, that man did not say that really. There's like, that does not. I don't believe it, but it looked real.
There's this amazing Joe Biden diss track about like pushing back on people who call him Sleepy Joe. That's just like we are fast entering a phase where reality is really optional. Like, you don't really have it. If you want to believe it's true, maybe like one day like our brains will just submit and we'll just be like, I'm too tired to discern between all of this anymore. I give up.
Right now, we're seeing the AI and things like that in its infancy.
Yes.
I mean,
which means the CIA has been using it for decades.
If you look at how compelling the stuff that comes out today is, and think about what it's going to be like in 10 years, because this stuff is moving fast. Like it's not like AI was developed 20 years ago and it's taken forever to see the incremental steps. It's really, really, really fast. And it's going to get faster. So I mean, I imagine in 2 years, the AI that's produced is going to be, or at least the AI drawn pictures and AI made videos, they're going to be indistinguishable. I think that the uncanny valley is already behind us.
The pictures almost look too real.
Almost.
There's something about the it makes the frame rate look off in a lot of ways. Like the best example is the one of like the Pope in the white down jacket. It just it looks real, but it looks too real to be real, if that makes sense to anyone. Also, does anybody like somebody says like, what if he was like he gets down, he crashes the plane, and then like the NTSB is like, dude, you could have killed countless people. Like this was a hazard, and what if he's just like, it's a prank, bro? Like
it's a prank, bro.
Dude, bro, why are you taking this so serious? Like why do you care so much? That's my new favorite one to push back on, because that's what everyone says now. Why do you care so much? Dude, and that's coming from somebody who most of the time doesn't care. So I'm actually with them most of the time, but I'm never gonna fault another person for caring.
Right.
But I get it, right? So he's just like, so I crashed a plane into the side of the mountain, fooled thousands of people into thinking that I almost died. Why do you care so much? Why do you care so much? Also, wouldn't I imagine there's like ecological effects, right? To jet fuel getting like thrown into
that's not jet fuel. That was a prop.
Oh, okay, so it's fake.
So it's either gas or diesel.
Okay.
Because it's not,
But okay, any type of fuel goes into the atmosphere, right? Or goes into the ground, right? I imagine that's bad.
Yeah.
So maybe that he should be held responsible for something like that. I don't know. But I just know that we're in a world now where the fact that I have to read this headline and I just go,
yeah.
Well, in the list of things that people do for clout these days, this is right up there with a lot of other crazy stuff. So, somebody's bringing up DB Cooper. He could have reenacted DB Cooper. That would have at least been interesting.
He didn't have any money to jump out of the plane with. Dude, DB Cooper is uninteresting without money.
Give him the money. It's not real.
It was only like $2 million back, and $2 million doesn't have the oomph that it did back in the 70s. But DB Cooper, like without the dollars. Yep. DB Cooper is not that interesting.
Do you think they'll ever find the?
They found some of the money,
but I think they'll ever find like the remains.
I don't think he died.
You don't think he died? He survived.
Yeah, I think that he lost a portion of the money, but he didn't lose all of it. And I think they made it.
They did a really interesting episode of the show Leverage where they it's hilarious now because it's like fan fiction of like what would have happened if he had survived. See, nowadays they just try to pass it off as real and be like, what, it's my truth. But like they actually do that, like an episode of that where they explain like what happened to DB Cooper.
Yeah.
So. All right, guys, just beware of any video you see on the internet now.
Everything is a lie.
And be wary that people are really going to be out there trying to get whatever they can, whatever clout they can in the most dangerous ways possible. So. All right, guys. I think that's everything. We're caught up on Super Chats. But I do want to roll through. I have not shared yet today. We do have Cute of the Day, and we do have Cringe of the Day. So I thought I'd save them to the end today. So we got a couple of things to look at today. What do you guys think first? Cringe or cute?
Cringe.
Cringe first? All right, we're going to look at the cringe of the day first here, guys. So here's the first thing. Julia Fox just went out in underwear. And you know, I feel like Mary would have wanted this for cringe of the day, right? Like, but I'll tell you this. Because we had her, she wore a condom outfit. We had her in a condom outfit on Friday. She was wearing literally head to toe and nothing but condom clothes. It's like boots that were made of condoms. Like, they looked used too. That's the scary part. So maybe this is not the cringiest. This, however, may end up being the cringiest, guys. Martha Stewart lands swimsuit model cover at 81 years old. Thankfully, there are no pictures attached. I don't think they've actually taken the pictures yet. She will be a Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover lady at 81.
Are you so dumb?
Cover of the magazine.
Cover at 81. Oldest model in history. They should put her on the cover of Forbes. That's what they should put her on the cover of. That's where she did her best work. Was in the financial. Was in the financial section.
I don't know.
How we've fallen from grace. You know.
I mean, fine. What? Fine.
I guess you know what.
You guys are being too diplomatic.
She's actually a woman, so you know what? I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Fair enough.
We'll take what we can get.
Dylan Mulvaney. Martha Stewart.
Fair enough.
Okay, fine.
Like men, you have to pick you have to choose your path.
Okay, Top G.
You have to pick your path. Dylan Mulvaney or Martha Stewart. Pick one.
Gonna separate the men from the boys.
All right. We got some people in the chat are like, it's a woman, so be happy. This is the world we live in now, guys. Like, this is the price we pay for taking over every industry as men.
It is just so sad that people are just like, fine, at least you're getting the sex right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And I got some cues of the day before we go, guys. I want to share a couple of pets with you guys from people who watch the show. Terrence Rice right here says, my cat's name is that Diaz? Diaz? A few pics from where she was little versus more recent. She sleeps with Jaime every night. Him? Jaime?
Jaime?
All right. Oh my gosh. That is amazing. Look at that.
That's a cat.
That is like me, like when I wake up in the morning, basically. That's me every morning. I like it. Let's see. Oh. Jesus. That's the actual, like, have you ever seen the video, like the audio they always use on Instagram? It says loaf check, and it checks to see like whether the tail's in, whether the arms are in. It says 10 out of 10 loaf. It literally looks like a loaf. It literally looks like a loaf of bread.
Loaf cat.
Adorable. We got a couple more here. All right, from Joshua Appleford. It says PCC Pets at hashtag PCC, or hashtag Pop Culture Crisis. Love the show, so I had to share my comic book cats with you. Meet Castle, the black tuxedo, named after the Punisher, of course. Well, yes. Are you for or against giving cats or dogs human names?
I'm very much for it.
For it?
Yeah. Not exclusively, though. Like, my dog's name is Django after Django Fett, but
nice.
Pardon me? Yeah, but like I wouldn't be like opposed to like Frank.
Okay.
Or Steve.
Well, that's the thing. He could have called this one Frank if it was going to be Frank Castle from The Punisher. That would have been good. Yeah. Secondly, meet King Ezekiel, named after the Walking Dead character. Lastly, Big Boy Odin. Adorable. Let's see. Oh, that's giving Bucko.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's giving. I looked after Bucko all weekend, and he's very whiny this weekend. He wanted more food than usual, and I had to, of course you have to be the bad guy sometimes.
Right.
And you're like, look, I just fed you.
Yeah.
I can't keep feeding you all the time, just most of the time.
He's doing a lot better.
Steve the dog.
Yeah, he gets what he wants. Oh, that is adorable too. So that's I think that's Odin right there. That's adorable. And one more from Solid Monkey.
A dog. All right.
Eowyn.
A proper pet.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, guys. We'll look at one more.
I'm a dog supremacist.
Okay,
yes.
here.
I am a dog supremacist as well. Oh.
Here's Eowyn again, just after spaying. and needs love. Also, so you know that PCC Pets is a place to post adoptable pets on.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right, because people were hashtagging PCC Pets before I started the hashtag, and it's like a place where you can adopt pets. So, hey, maybe you guys want to adopt a pet. We can give them some business as well. And let's look at one more so we can get caught up. This is from George. This is Posy Bear. That is adorable.
Look at him.
That is adorable.
Who's
The
a
ears.
good boy.
Amazing.
Very good boy.
Amazing. All right, guys. Thank you so much today for joining us. Before we go, could you like this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? We did pass 60,000 subscribers over the weekend, so thank you very much for that. My friend, Chris, let everyone know where they can find you.
I'm Chris Bertman. I'm a writer for Timcast News. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at manofbert. I like to post a lot, and then I have a habit of actually doing, important work. And
you find a way to get to all of it.
I get to all of it. Sometimes at 3 a.m, just the random stuff starts flying. But yeah, go ahead and join the Discord if you become a member at Timcast, and then I'll pop in there and we'll have a lot of fun.
Perfect.
So, thank you.
In the chat, Terrence, where I just saw it here now, I wanted to read it because it made my day. Terrence Rice says, my son was so excited to see his cat on here, just made his day. Yes.
Good.
I'm happy. I like it. Phil, where can they find you?
I am Phil Labonte, the lead singer for the band All That Remains. I am Phil That Remains on Twitter, Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains on Spotify, Apple Music, all of the places that you would stream music.
All right. And we got one more super chat here from High Voltage 75 says, a Portuguese dog just celebrated its 31st birthday, world's oldest dog in Guinness Book of World Records. I saw a picture of it over the weekend.
We had another super chat I guess we missed.
Okay.
Someone reached out to me. They said, as far as Cast Brew Coffee, Bert's Cold Brew, which I sign off on. I'm totally fine with this.
It should be a cold brew, and it's the Bert's Cult Brew.
Yes, I love it.
Brew.
Thank you.
Now I'm double checking because I missed a couple of chats. Friday was hectic and I missed one. I want to double check here and make sure that we got through all of them. Does anybody see? I don't know if either of you guys see anything that we might have missed. I don't think
I didn't see
that
any.
I did, but I think we got through all of them. Oh no, I think I might have missed the one before that. From Guam Tech says Blader Boy away. He's talking about me. It says bladder on there. Bladder. That's an inside joke, kind of. In the skating community, a company called Mind Game made a shirt that said Blader because it was a way that we were differentiating ourselves from skateboarding at the time. Because when you say skater, people immediately think skateboarder. Yeah. But it just looks like bladder. It's not spelled the same, but people will think what they think. No rollerblader missed it, but every person that ever didn't skate was just like bladder.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. If you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dastovic on both of those platforms. I will shame you into doing exercise. That's what people keep telling me because they keep making posts about going out and getting exercise, and they keep calling me a boomer. But I got other stuff to share with you as well. The show is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you would like to listen to this podcast rather than watch it, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you'd like to follow the show on social media, we're on Twitter at @popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at @popculturecrisis, and on Instagram at @popculturecrisispod. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.
Boys.
Exactly.